likely in the hydropower space as well, hopefully soon. And we're expanding our reach and localizing our reach through talent development hubs that you'll hear a little bit more about later. But this series of activities is continually moving forward, but also is flexible and nimble so that we can help meet relevant needs. You can go to the next slide, please. So a little bit about NREL. We are a national lab that focuses on the advancement of science and engineering of energy efficiency, transportation, and renewable power. I am in the water power group that supports marine energy research as well as hydropower research. Within marine energy, we perform lots of different activities, research and development, economic analysis, resource assessment, grid interconnection modeling, and lots of other activities that are all listed here in these bullets. And of course, that last bullet on the bottom is really the biggest part of that effort is encapsulated in this project. And on the next slide, you see the partnerships we've been able to bring together to take advantage of the expertise that is already out there. And you'll hear from many of those partners throughout this dialogue series today. So it's a wonderful team, and we are anxious to get all the feedback that you're able to give to help continually guide and recalibrate our project. Thank you.
Hi all, my name is Bree Menlin and I'm the program director with the Hydropower Foundation. And just to address one more little housekeeping item, we are recording this workshop. So just so you're aware, we will be able to use this going forward. So if you ever have a need to go back, you missed something that we said today or any of that kind of stuff, if you wanted to forward this on to a friend, you'll be able to access this from the Hydropower Foundation's website. And also the STEM portal. So just to give you a little feedback, or sorry, not feedback, history on the foundation. We have been around since 1994. We are a 501c3. Our main goal is to get young people interested in hydropower, water power, clean energy. That's our goal. And so we work with young people. We work in around education, research, and workforce development. And this STEM project that we're working on here with NREL and DOE is just a terrific partner in fulfilling that goal. The dialogue that we are wanting to have today with you all, and the reason we invite you all here, is to really help be a part of this project. We are not trying to create our STEM portals or any other portions of this project, which you'll see today. We're not trying to create it in a bubble. We want to make sure that people are aware that it exists, and we want to know if there's any gaps that we're missing, you know, if there's information that we should have that we don't have, any kind of technical information that could help young people that are pursuing more advanced degrees. We need to know about that. So we're really trying to make this more of a dialogue. We will share a lot of this information with you over the course of the next several minutes, but ultimately we're going to meet in groups later so that we can really hear from you as well. So that is that's our goal today. If you ever have questions along the way, please feel free to throw them in the chat or speak up. Raise your hand. We'll call on you. Thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to a good discussion.
Thanks, Bree, and thanks for mentioning those housekeeping issues that I completely forgot to mention. So if we want to go to the next slide, Maddie. And I think this slide is just kind of getting to what Bree's point was. This is the whole goal of this workshop is, you know, we're really trying to figure out how we can best help the industry move forward, specifically when it comes to workforce and STEM education. So just reiterating that point there. And then if we go to the next slide, we're actually going to open up to a polling question right now. So in the chat, we are going to copy and paste a link to an online poll that you can go to. And what we're looking for is answers to your this question here. What is the greatest need for the future workforce pipeline of marine energy? So I know people on this call are from, you know, various backgrounds. So really interested to see what your perspective is on, you know, what really is needed. And I know it takes a minute for these things to populate, so we're gonna have a little awkward silence for just a little bit while everybody gets into the poll and puts in their answers. And so yes, you'll see Jennifer did post the link right there in the chat. Okay, cool. I can see them coming in now, which means people are able to get in there, which is great. Curriculum, resources, students. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing like a really nice theme here in terms of really just, yeah, relevant resources, whether that's, curriculum, whether it looks like, there's a need for leaders and students, inspiration. Great, these are really good answers. Predictability, right. I can see that being a challenge right now, right? The predictability and whether there's going to be jobs. I think that's what was meant there. Cool. These are some really good answers. All right. Well, thanks everyone. It looks like that slowed down a little bit, but yeah, definitely looks to be a common theme of need for more resources and curriculum, but the ideas that are on here too are some that we've talked about as a group internally, as well as needing internships and trades workers, and really just getting people aware of the skills required and training them for the potential of the marine energy industry. So yeah, thank you so much. Awesome, cool. Let's go on to the next slide. All right, so now Jennifer Daw of NREL is going to provide an overview of a curricula assessment, student survey, and industry survey results. All right, Jennifer.
Great. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I take that as a yes. Okay, well, good afternoon. So my name is Jennifer Daw. I'm a senior researcher at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and I've been working with all these individuals that have been talking so far today on this workforce STEM project for the past several years. And one of the roles that I've played has been doing more analysis, looking at the education pipeline and the workforce challenges associated with hydropower and marine energy. So our focus today here is marine energy, but I just want to mention we have been studying hydropower in parallel and trying to do similar activities around that. So over the past several years, we've been looking at the curricula, so what is being taught in U.S. post-secondary schools. So these have been community colleges, undergraduate degrees, and graduate degrees, and trying to get a sense of who's teaching what in the marine energy space. We also went out, and as a result of that curricula assessment, we reached out to students because some of what we heard from professors was a little intriguing to us, and we wanted to understand the student perspectives. So we went specifically to students of those schools who had been learning a little bit about water power in their work and wanted to get some of their perspectives on the marine energy industry. And then finally, just most recently this year, we also went out to the marine energy industry and wanted to get some of their perspectives on how ready students were for their jobs and other hiring challenges they may be facing or workforce challenges they might be facing. And all of this, as Ariel mentioned before, we're trying to make sure that the information we're providing as part of this project is relevant and it's addressing those needs where we are trying to build up a strong domestic workforce around marine energy and looking all the way from the educational systems through the students, through the workplace and industry to help inform those types of decisions and the type of information that we're making available as part of this project. So if you want to go to the next slide, I'm going to recap really quickly what we found in some of these studies. And again, this is a summary of 3 years worth of research in 2 slides. So bear with me, but if you have specific questions, I would love to nerd out and share more with you. So first, when we reached out to the schools, we found that 19% of schools have marine energy as some form of major, or 38% offer it as a specialization. So it is being offered to some degree, typically at a graduate level. What we found is many schools are not offering these degrees because they don't have the funding to support the programs. So basically there may be a teacher who has an interest, but they don't have the ability to really create a curriculum around that. And it's kind of a vicious cycle. Without the funding, the school is not going to let you teach the courses. And if you don't teach them, then you can't really do the research, and so you can't have a program. We did find 16% of schools don't have any marine energy courses. And if it is being included, oftentimes it's included as part of another energy course. So a renewable energy or other form of energy course where they might devote a day to it or maybe a week to it, but that's about it. A driver and kind of an issue that professors observed is that there is a lack of industry jobs and defined career paths. And this is discouraging students from pursuing or expressing interest in marine energy because they really don't know what they can do with it. They don't know where they can go. If I study it, am I going to live at home in my parents' basement for the rest of my life? So this is something that emerged as a challenge that both the professors are seeing, and also in reaching out to students, they acknowledge that, yeah, it sounds like an interesting industry. They see marine energy as a renewable energy source. They would like to learn more about it, but they haven't. You can see that 83% of student hires have limited to no knowledge of marine energy. So these are recent students leaving school, going into the workforce. And industry is saying, yeah, they're pretty limited in their knowledge, with the exception that 17% of the hires have extensive knowledge. And I think this is a reflection of those who have been pursuing graduate degrees, which is not uncommon in the marine energy industry. So there is this small percentage that's extremely knowledgeable, but the vast majority of students, when we surveyed them, they were kind of guessing. They didn't really know what marine energy was. Some people thought we were talking about offshore drilling. Like they were just like, yeah, that sounds cool, but I don't know what that is. So I think there is some general improvement in awareness that we can raise and get more information in the hands of educators to help them better understand and get the right information in the hands of students. Another finding from industry, student hires have limited to no hands-on experience, so are really lacking practical skills and experience that are relevant to the marine energy industry, which they think would be extremely beneficial in helping onboard them and kind of get the right resources to further the work of this industry. 17% of the hires are considered well prepared for their jobs. And so again, there is some limitation that's been observed by industry that most have some relevant knowledge, skills, and abilities, but many are not well prepared for the jobs that they're entering. So to us, this kind of flags the need for a better connection between the educational system and the industry, and really trying to meet those needs and help make sure that we strengthen that pipeline. In particular, the industry's flagged lack of understanding of the grid, how the grid operates, and environmental issues are some key areas that would benefit students who are trying to enter into the marine energy industry and ensure that they have a better understanding of those types of things. So big picture recommendations based on this survey so far are trying to strengthen and increase relevant work experiences for students. I think this was seen as being highly valuable by industry. How do you get more capstone projects? How do you get more industry engagement into the classroom in particular, through guest speakers or through research projects, tours of facilities, which can really help students understand what's happening in this industry, that these jobs are real, what kind of job could they have. Also, increasing hands-on learning opportunities was emphasized. And finally, bringing back more marine energy coursework. Maybe it's not bringing it back, it's creating it, because I'm not sure it ever existed in the US. But there is that need if we're wanting to strengthen the workforce pipeline around marine energy. Coursework is essential to that. And there's the topics here like the grid operations and environmental issues, which were emphasized as being extremely important for students to have an understanding of. So with that, I think I will hand it over. And if others have questions, feel free to chat me or we can email. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. Yep, and if anybody has questions, do feel free to put it into the chat. But right now we're going to move on to the next polling question, where again, we'll put that link to this polling question in the chat, I believe. Yep, I think it should go in there again, unless it's the same one, I think, right? Yeah, okay. Cool. So if everybody wants to go to this, and we're looking at finding your thoughts on where would you go if you were wanting to learn about new jobs, career opportunities, educational resources in marine energy. So the internet is always a good one. INOR, yep. The NOAA website, that's a good one. Cool. All right, yeah, this is helpful information, I think, right now. I mean, we don't have a huge, we do have a STEM portal that we're going to talk about in just a minute that does have some postings and information on career resources. But these are all really great ideas on things that we should start focusing in on too. So really appreciate these, and you can keep them coming. But I think we're going to move on to the next slide. Great. So thank you all for that. All right. So we are now going to move over to discuss ways that educators can use the resources available on the portal. So we'll do an overview of the portal and talk about other resources here. So I'm going to hand it over now to Karen of NEED, and she will walk you through things.
Thanks, Ariel. My name is Karen Terrell. I'm with NEED. If we go to the next slide. NEED is National Energy Education Development. We're based out of Manassas, and we've partnered with NREL to bring some of these educational resources to you and to show you some of the curriculum we've been working on. Next slide, please. So there's a bunch of places you can go to get some resources. You've got the portal that I'm going to show you just here in a little bit. It's got some educational resources outlined by grade level, subject, type of resource, topic. There's some videos, there's some animations, lots of things there available. You can sort by keyword or title if you know the title of the activity you're looking for. And there's a really helpful description that just kind of gives you an overview as you're scrolling through those. At NEED, we have some curriculum guides that you might find useful. All of our curriculum is available in a PDF format that you can download for free. One title that will be very helpful is called Exploring Ocean Energy and Resources, and it details all of the types of resources and energy sources that are available offshore. We put together a curriculum sampler called H2OMG, has some hydropower and a couple of marine modeling activities in it that you can download. In our Wind for Schools guide, we have some activities that are going to show up in our soon to be published, should be coming out soon in the next couple of months, floating offshore wind guide. And then we have in the works over the next 18 months or so, we'll be doing a curriculum guide about marine renewable energy, as well as an offshore learners, an adult learners guide for offshore wind. And then KidWind has some activities involved with their challenge. Next slide, please. So this is a screenshot of the portal at OpenEI, and I just kind of highlighted, the drop-down menu for STEM. You can kind of study it there if you go back and look at this. I'm going to show all this to you. We're going to focus on the education resources, educator resources, and the career pathways. But there's a lot of really good information on this portal. Next slide, please. This is a slide of the NEED website. If you go to shop.need.org, it'll take you there. That's where you download the PDFs of our curriculum. If you know the title, you can stick that in that search bar at the top, or if you're like me and forget things quickly, you can browse by topic on the left. Next slide, please. KidWind is going to be updating the KidWind challenge. The one challenge they're developing is a floating offshore wind challenge that goes in with the regular KidWind challenge. So looking at developing a floating platform that you can test, and the particulars are right there on that slide. I'm not going to read to you because you all know how to read. But the next one is to draft and pilot a marine energy challenge. So this is going to be a completely different challenge, a completely different kind of device that kids would be designing. So if I could just have control, so I can go to the website and show that portal. You can exit the PowerPoint and then I can poke around on my So I want to go here. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, good. So when you go to, it's openei.org/wiki/primre. I've been saying it primary in my head, and you can also say primary if you're trying to remember how to spell it. But this is the portal. You got the MRE basics. This is really good. If you don't have any clue about marine renewable energy, this is a good place to go. Some knowledge hubs and organizations that are more adult focused. But if you go to the STEM, that's what I showed in that screenshot. Resources here, you've got educator resource and career pathways. I'll show you the career pathways first. So that's going to give you some videos, day in the life professional profiles. And there are a lot of excellent videos here that kind of give your students an idea, or even your own children, an idea of the types of careers that are out there and the types of things that people can do. The other thing you'll be interested in as educators are the educator resources, and they are organized right here. You can choose by education level. So it starts at high school and goes up through different levels of adult. That's my timer telling my time's up. You can choose different kinds of resource types. You can select specific topics within a content level. So if you're a chemistry teacher, you want something that's very chemistry focused, you can narrow it down that way. And
Karen, you have plenty of time. You've got like a good 7 minutes.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Thinking I needed to go be all done in 5 minutes.
No, you're fine.
Okay,
you
so
had a
go
different
ahead and click through some of these. So the different topics that you have here are, careers, energy basics, if you're looking to teach some very specific energy concepts, all the way up to policy and regulation for people interested in those things. So if I was a high school teacher and I teach biology, and we want to look at some energy basics in my biology class, I would do that. Wait for it to come up. And then, okay, the one that came up is from the University of Hawaii. So all of the resources are listed here. You've got the topic, or you've got a clickable title that takes you to that resource. And then who published the resource, a little description of it, and then some keywords or some topics and that sort of thing. Let's go back to, since I have more time than I thought I had, let's go back to the career pathways and let's take a look at a couple of these. So all of these show day in life, who it is, what their career is, marine energy researcher, engineer, research technician, and so on, and where the video has come from. And then you can click this link to go straight up to YouTube to watch that if you would like to, or you can, it'll display here in this portal. Yeah, I think let's look at this one too. Marine education program locations. So this is going to give you some ideas of where some people are that have some programs in marine energy. If you are local to any of these and you want to contact them, maybe for a speaker or some additional help for you, if your content knowledge is not as strong or robust as it could be, that's a good idea. I've done that as a teacher and as a curriculum creator, just kind of contacting people like, I don't quite know as much about this as I need to. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I have. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Parker Mullins from the Bonneville Environmental Foundation.
Thank you. My name is Parker Mullins, and I'm the program director for CE, which is a program of the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. BEF is a small nonprofit in Portland that works to help businesses be better balance with the environment through solutions in carbon, water, and renewable energy. And where CE fits in is as a clean energy education program that works with educator leaders to prepare the next generation of the clean energy economy. If you go to the next slide, please. So the primary method in which we do that is through transforming education, through supporting what we call our Clean Energy Fellows Network, and developing wealth building skills for the next generation who will lead an equitable clean energy transition in a low carbon future. CE has since 2002 worked in the renewable energy education space. And really around 2012, we started working in the leadership development space, working with educators to develop rigorous hands-on curriculum in renewable energy technologies. And throughout that process, started working more and more in long-term professional development with educators. And what was born from that was our Clean Energy Fellows program, where we really work to leverage the expertise and the knowledge base that teachers have on the ground of their local energy challenges and local energy solutions. And so through this program, we work to engage in long-term sustained impact in traditionally excluded communities, working with those educators to ensure that they are building the right partnerships, that they are including the right supports to ensure that any new programming developed will have a certain amount of longevity. We also work to amplify local STEM and teacher leadership, making sure that our educators are building partnerships with additional educators, delivering regional professional development, building the skill sets to deliver regional professional development, and again, give voices to teachers that are exhibiting some amazing leadership. We also work to engage all students in clean energy opportunities. We like to say all careers for all students. We're currently working a lot with tribal communities in the Pacific Northwest, building partnerships with folks who are traditionally excluded from the conversation when it comes to clean energy careers. Additionally, working with rural communities and urban communities as well. And finally, making those career connections to build equitable access to family wage wealth building careers in clean energy, requiring a lot of industry partnerships. And we like to say those partnerships go two ways. And one of our specific programs that kind of connects to this whole water power discussion is our Water Power Clean Energy Fellows. And so this is a topic-specific Clean Energy Fellows program that will work to address any gaps and amplify existing work in the water power education space. And so as you've been hearing from folks throughout the day, there are a lot of resources out there. We don't want to reinvent the wheel with this Clean Energy Fellows program. We want to have them act as a voice and amplify that existing work, whether it be to build models that spread and replicate great programs, like we have some in the Northwest, for example, with Chelan PUD and some community college work that they're working on up here, or whether it be specific lesson plans and getting those into the hands of additional teachers in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. We also want our Water Power Clean Energy Fellows to act as an industry resource, amplifying what they have available throughout educational networks and refining different approaches to building workforce connections. And so as a part of this, these educators will be the experts and educator voices in the Clean Energy Talent Development Hub, which I will let Sean explain a little bit more about momentarily.
Great, and I think it's coming to me next before we get to Sean. So if we could go to the next slide, Maddie. That's right. So we are going to do another polling question. This time looking at what information are you looking for on marine energy that is difficult to find? So if we could just remind everybody of the link in the chat. Actual career pathways, good one. Everything. Certification. I have a feeling I might know who that might have come from, but that's a great one. It's a very unclear process sometimes. Yeah, all types of people within the industry. It's a good one. Yeah, we try to keep in mind that this is not just trying to build up a workforce for the engineers. We want to make sure that we're touching upon everybody who might be involved in the industry at some point. Status of projects. It's interesting. Great. Seems like there's, yeah, a lot of comments here on information on needing more information on careers, internships, that sort of thing. So that's really all great input. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Successful and less successful solutions. Yeah, so it seems like also, you know, clear information on the status of projects, what the progress is in terms of, you know, getting devices to produce energy, you know, with some success stories and how that worked and also what hasn't worked. Yeah, that's all good input. Thank you so much. Cool. All right, so I think we're going to move on to the next slide. All right, so right now, I think we're a little bit ahead of time here. So if we could just go to the next slide, Maddie, I think the slides might have gotten a little wonky here, but I'm going to talk about the IKM Island animation. And so this is also one of the resources that we are developing right now. Wanted to give everybody a preview of the work that we're doing. We're doing this with the UK company IKM, and Jules from the company is on the phone right now. So Jules, if I get anything wrong, please feel free to chime in at any point in time. So yeah, so this is an animation we're doing to showcase various water power technologies. I'm going to be running through these pretty quickly for the sake of time. Actually, sorry, Maddie, can we go back to the first one? But Jennifer is going to put a link to the Google chat, the Google Drive. I think she just did that. So you can download the PowerPoint and you can go through the slides in your own time too. So yeah, I do apologize that we're going to go through these a little bit quicker, but I think since we are ahead of schedule, we might have a little bit more time. But so yeah, so the first slide here shows an aerial view of a hypothetical island that we're creating a story around. The island uses different water power technologies to power various applications throughout the island. We spent quite a lot of time working with IKM and NREL technical researchers to make sure that everything in the animation is going to be as technically accurate as possible. And although we're still in the early stages of development on this, we do welcome any feedback that you guys have. So please feel free to type in through the chat, or we could discuss more in the breakouts. All right, Maddie, so now we can start going through the slides. Thank you. So now you can see how the island has been evolving here. You can get a look and a feel for it. We've tried to incorporate different natural features to demonstrate how water power technologies can be applied throughout. And so you can see that the island features an offshoot, so a smaller island as well. There's a small city, an airport. You can also see incorporation of a coral reef in the water there. It's actually really detailed when we get to zoom in on it, so that's pretty neat. Yeah, so now you can see here what has been added to kind of showcase hydropower technologies. You can see a reservoir there. Trying to think of other features to highlight in this one. If we can go to the next slide though, Maddie. So this is a zoom in of a small wave array that's providing power via cables to the mainland. The animation will zoom in on various technologies and show their energy applications. There's also a small offshore array that you can see that's providing power. And this shows some of the detail on the smaller island. You can see here on the main island too, to the right of the city, there's an eco hotel, and to the right of that is a vineyard, all of which are getting power from water power technologies. Here's another zoomed out view of an array of devices and a power bank. And this shows bulge wave technologies in an array. So again, you'll see like as when the animation's complete, we'll be able to zoom in and see those technologies up close. Yeah, and finally, here is an aquaculture facility that will also be powered by marine energy. So yeah, I know this was kind of a fast breeze through, but wanted to give you a lay of the land. The current phase of this project includes development of a short animated video that will take us around the island, zoom in on the technologies and applications, and show how they're providing power. In future phases, we're hoping to add interactive capabilities and gaming aspects to this. We've had some initial discussions on this, what this would look like, and what would be most impactful to students, but we welcome your feedback here on, how to make this as impactful as possible, either now through the chat, any ideas that you have, or breakouts sessions, we can certainly talk more about it. And so, yeah, so we do have Jules from IKM on right now. I just want to ask Jules here if he wants to add anything, or did I get anything wrong, Jules? All good. All right, awesome. Thank you, Jules. Cool. So with that, I think we'll go to the next slide, Maddie. So here is another and our others are actually short that are to develop. And so Mystic Aquarium has right now an offshore renewable energy exhibit that went live in the fall, and they're going to be adding these videos to the exhibit. So you can see in the slide here sort of the look and feel of what they're going to look like, the videos. We're doing one on the ORPC device that's providing power to the Igiugig village up in Alaska. And that's what the pictures, all of the pictures here are showing. The second video that we're doing is going to incorporate Resolute Marine Energy's device and how they're helping with the Cabo Verde community. And so they're helping them by providing energy to desalinate water there. The third story is going to showcase the Orsted and Block Island collaboration on developing the first offshore wind farm in the United States, right off the coast of Block Island. And then our fourth story is going to be looking at liquid robotics and how they are using wave-powered autonomous underwater vehicles for marine mammal monitoring. So those four stories will be coming out in the videos will be coming out at some point this year. And again, along with the IKM animation that I just showed you and this one, these sort of videos, they're all going to be available on the Primer portal for STEM. So those will be available to anybody to use. We can go to the next one. Next slide, please. And just, one final resource here that we've been working on for the last few years that has been, providing content as we go for the marine energy world is the Marine Energy Collegiate Competition. And so the last dialogue series that we had was an in-depth look at this. So I'm really just going to highlight the fact that this is an ongoing competition. Students are working to develop a concept of a marine energy device that's powering an application in the blue economy. And so, with that, we're engaging on average about 15 or so schools a year in developing these devices and getting them to think about marine energy when a lot of the schools have not had experience in that area before. They're also, a lot of them are building and testing an actual device, so getting them some hands-on applied experience as well. So we're announcing the teams for 2022 this week. It's just a little pitch for that, so look out for that. And always these teams are looking for support of any kind. Definitely the marine energy educational world is a difficult one to navigate, as a lot of you mentioned in some of the poll questions. There's not a lot of resources out there, and any mentorship or guidance that anybody can provide them, these teams would really love that. So, feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in connecting with any of the teams. So next slide. All right, so I think, Sean, you are gonna take it on from here.
All right, get my stuff all queued up here. Hi everyone, I'm Sean McQueen, Senior Director for CE, Clean Energy Bright Futures, which is a program of the Bonneville Environmental Foundation, as Parker told you a little bit about that. So here you see a slide of the that we got from NREL, which is really great. But to address talent development, opportunities, and inequities like we've been talking about, the US DOE's Water Power Technology Office, NREL's Water Power Group, and the Hydropower Foundation kicked off a 3-year partnership with BEF, that's us, to facilitate regional collaboration and best practices and talent development, stakeholder engagement using water power as the test case. So the intent is that a replicable model emerges from this work that can be implemented in multiple regions across the country and across all clean energy technologies. So we'll do this by creating a virtual regional water power clean energy talent development hub. Man, I almost had it. With these acronyms, you gotta love it. So, which is the intent here is to carry out activities to support appropriate clean energy education and community outreach in the Pacific Northwest region. So here on the slide, we're starting in the Pacific Northwest, right? So each hub has core activities, which are shown on the slide, and regionally specific activities. So, for example, core activities for clean energy talent development hubs include delivering unbiased, relevant, and actionable information to ensure a well-rounded knowledge of renewable energy, beginning with water power, and we can expand that out. Expanding access to quality resources for education through localized amplification, also while increasing local community knowledge to inspire and enhance the renewable energy workforce. So also use as a vehicle to share best practices for including diverse representation and outreach to underrepresented or traditionally excluded communities, and leveraging and more broadly communicating local expertise in clean energy in each region where virtual hubs are maintained. And that map earlier that you saw from the primer. I say primer. That's not correct either. But on that,
that's how the NREL folks say it. I don't know if that's.
Oh, okay. Okay. I read it like primer, even though I know it doesn't say primer. Well, on that, there was a nice map there that kind of showed that. So leveraging and broadly communicating local expertise all around the country, wherever hubs are maintained, and then taking national level information data, resources, and customizing those to reflect local conditions. So for the Pacific Northwest region, we're going to use, you heard Parker give a little introduction about CE Clean Energy Fellows, but we're going to have our water power cohort as a focal point for this virtual hub, because Clean Energy Fellows, actually, the way they're designed, they bring together industry, utilities, K-12 post-secondary partners, tribes, workforce development stakeholders, and others to expand public awareness and understanding of energy, and in this case, the role and value of hydropower and other water power technologies in creating a resilient and equitable clean energy future. So it's kind of cool. In the Pacific Northwest, we have coastlines of Washington and Oregon. But also includes, Idaho and Montana for other types of hydropower and water power technologies. So, for example, some of what that might look like, well, what we know it's going to look like. So what that will look like in the Pacific Northwest is teacher leadership and industry connections. As Parker had explained earlier, CE specializes in these energy industry education connections with deep long-term impact. I always like to say we want to change the way we talk about energy for the next 10 years in the school, so that we work with leaders that are local in education in that STEM ecosystem, and also to help expand access to students, no matter where they're from, what they look like, all the different things that are unrelated to their actual potential for success. Because our goal is to build a workforce that reflects our whole country, not just a few people. So also going to provide K-12 educational content development support. So this, by the way, as Parker mentioned, includes leveraging existing resources and developing resources with partners where gaps are identified by tribes or stakeholders and educators and others. Also, regional research project support. This I'm super excited about here, because a lot of you may know, and if you don't, the PacWave project out in Newport, Oregon was recently licensed, and that's very exciting opportunities in Oregon for marine or ocean energy research of all types. Very excited. There's folks on the call here I know I saw from POET and other groups. And then also up in Washington in the Puget Sound in collaboration with PNNL and other universities and other groups. So there's like lots of cool ways we can get. I could get into the weeds. I'm not going to, but just one fun thing would be to, anytime there's R&D or real projects or all of the above, we want to make those learning opportunities in real time. I mean, this stuff unfolding, the clean energy technologies, the engineering design process unfolding right in front of the eyes of the students where they live. So we're very excited about that. And then supporting, of course, renewable energy collegiate competitions, such as the marine energy competition you just heard about, and a newly emerging hydropower hydropower competition that we're going to learn more about soon on another call. So that is all I'm going to say now. Happy to answer any questions in the chat, or at least if I didn't get everything, feel free to fix whatever I did.
I think that was great. Thanks, Sean. All right, so if we can go to the next slide, Maddie. So yeah, in terms of also ways that we're trying to expand the reach on this project. So, and I know Katie, I think she was on the call, so I'll give you the same offer I gave to Jules. If I get anything wrong here, please feel free to step in and correct me. But NREL is in the process of initiating a partnership with the Sea Research Foundation, that's also Mystic Aquarium, and their STEM mentoring and energy engineer program. So the program provides mentoring and academic enrichment programs to underserved youth by partnering with Boys and Girls Clubs and other youth serving organizations across the country. The plan is to create hands-on activities and educational materials focused on marine renewable energy that can be incorporated into these existing programs. Currently, their energy engineer module includes some information on hydropower, but this content will also be enhanced along with the addition of marine energy. So as you can see from this slide, the program has a great reach to typically underserved communities. In 2019, there were 93 sites incorporating the energy engineers module with about 18 mentees per site. So we're really excited to get this partnership going and would encourage anybody on this call who has the capacity to support this initiative to reach out. And Jennifer also just put the link in the chat as well. Next slide, Maddie. And so finally here, NREL is also a sponsor of the Recharge Academy. And the Recharge Academy is an educator training program focused around renewable energy. It's currently in its 14th year. The intensive training blends lectures from experts and tours of energy facilities in the non-COVID world, that is, with replicable hands-on K-12 lessons to give educators content as well as context. So this year, as in 2020 also, the Academy is going to go virtual. I highlighted here that this year there will be an entire session dedicated to hydro and marine energy, which I believe is an entire day. And this is just another way we're trying to build awareness of marine energy within the educator community. I did put Mike Arquin's contact information here on this slide, and Jennifer also just pasted a link to the Recharge Academy site for anybody who's interested in learning a little bit more about this. And next slide. And so, yeah, I know Peter, again, is on this call, so covering content for a lot of people who know a lot more about these things than I do, but I will do my best here. Peter, feel free to chime in. So we've recently begun discussing with a group of folks from the Netherlands who've received EU funding through the Encore project to develop e-learning for the offshore renewable energy industry. The plan is to develop 8 standalone online courses, which will all be free and available anytime, anywhere. The target group for the courses are technology developers, young entrants into the industry, academics and researchers, consultants, and new employees in offshore renewables. The courses are being developed by Encore partners DefTeak and Met Support with expert input from Encore partners and observers. So NREL is hoping to participate in the development of these modules, at least by providing guidance as they get developed, look and see if there's any gaps, things that we would like to include. So hoping that we can really have a great partnership there. It's all very new, but it looks like Peter is putting the link to the site in the chat as well for anybody to check out. And yeah, I would encourage anybody on this call to take a look at it, and you can contact me if you want me to put you in touch with Peter, or Peter's on right now, and you can feel free to enter anything into chat too. So this is definitely an exciting development here. All right, next slide. So that is the end of us talking at you, and now we are going to move into breakout groups. So hopefully we can start having some great conversations about, all the different types of resources and opportunities we should engage the community in going forward. So Bree, I will let you just take it away from here.
Well, I'm going to take you all into different virtual rooms. So essentially what's going to happen is there's a few folks that are showing up as blank. So I only imagine that it's because you called in. And so you all don't have to go anywhere. You will stay in the main room. And if Jennifer, you could put in the chat all of the group links, the Jamboard links should be in your email. And you can access the questions that we're going to be talking about in our groups from those Jamboards. So I will send us all to our rooms, and then I will bring everybody back without warning right around 4:40. So you guys have lots of time to talk and really get into your discussions. So ready, set, go. Hold on. Okay, now we'll do it.
Okay, we're not there yet, right? 10 seconds.
It's working on it. My technology might not be fast like everybody else's. That's opening. There we go.
Yay. All right, so I think it looks like everybody who's still in this room is in breakout group 5, and so that's my breakout group. I was wondering if maybe we could quickly just let people introduce themselves. So yeah, and if there's an opportunity for people to turn on their camera, that would be great too. Anybody want to start? How about Ed? How about I put you on the spot? Oh, you're on mute, Ed.
My name is Ed Badou.
It's like a really fuzzy noise feedback.
Is it better?
Yes, much better.
Okay, all right. My name is Ed Mulyadi. I'm a professor at Auburn University. I used to work for NREL for many, many years. At any rate, the classes that may be related to marine energy is renewable energy. I have one class in the spring, 2021. There is power electronics in the fall. That a lot of examples related to renewable energy, not specifically to marine energy. And also I have a smart grid class this fall. It's not really related to marine energy. At any rate, that's my introduction. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question. The renewable energy course, is that geared towards like freshmen or what class is that?
It's senior and graduate
students.
students.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Anybody else on this call want to introduce themselves? I can't tell if people are like actively here or not, so I know it's a little tricky.
Hi, this is Allison from DOE. And I will probably try to be as quiet as possible because the whole point is to get feedback from people who aren't with DOE or NREL. But thank you all again for being here.
Great, thanks, Allison. And is it Levi or Levi? Levi?
Hi, yeah, that's Levi, and I am from PNNL, Pacific Northwest National Lab. I'm a current postbac RA, and my team is working on marine energy and the regulatory processes that are involved with permitting. And so I work with Andrea Copping, and one of our tasks right now is to see how we can bring out our state of the science report for marine energy out to the STEM community.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. Welcome. And it looks like there's one other person that might be on the phone, a 970 number. Is that, or 9 something? Or is that, do you have 2 numbers to listen? Oh.
That could be me. This is Jim Van Sweden from Florida Atlantic University. I'm sorry, I had some, since it's 6:10 here, I had some personal things, so I've just been listening on the phone, but I'm gonna try to join by computer in just about 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. That's a nice segue, I think. Hey, Jim, how are you? It's good to hear you. So if everybody can get into the Google Jamboard, there are some questions here that we are going to go through and walk through, and I'll just do a quick guide on how Jamboard works. It looks like a few of you are in here, so that's really great. And please feel free to stop me at any time if anybody's having any issues or can't get in. Yeah.
I do have an issue. So the link I was given on the email was a group 1 Jamboard.
Oh, your group 1. Yeah, here,
well,
let me.
If you give me a link for that, that'd be great.
Switch over to the dark side, group 5. Let's see. Yeah, this will just work. Here, try this. Let me know if that works for you. All
right, that's great.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, if we were starting off with this, you can see at the top, you should be able to see like there's slides 1/6. So you can kind of toggle through the different slides that there are. We're going to start off on slide number 1. And what you would do to add any input that you have is just click on the little sticky note guy, and you can just type in whatever you want. You can make it whatever color you want, and see that it just appears, and then we can talk about things and move it around. And by all means, if people just wanted to chat instead of put things into a sticky, that is totally fine. So yeah, this first question, we're interested in how do we encourage students in underrepresented communities to pursue careers in marine energy. So hey, Jim, good to see ya. Hey. So yeah, if you want to just type into the Jamboard any ideas that you might have, or talk, however we want to do this, it's totally up to the group here. And I'm kind of curious, Ed, from your perspective, and Jim too, is there anything being done at your universities to try to, I mean, I'm sure there is efforts to target representation from, you know, getting new students from underrepresented communities, getting them interested in engineering or marine energy. Any thoughts there?
Well, run an REU every summer, and so we always have to get a diverse group of undergrads here. So we get about 10 to 12 each summer, and so we tend to end up with a pretty diverse group of applicants. So it's, I don't know, we kind of what, you know, NSF wants as far as diversity and stuff, we normally end up getting without too much of an issue. So besides targeting where we send out our emails a little bit, and kind of which that's kind of our main filter right now, is just you know, focusing on student recruitment from underrepresented schools, you know, and for the REUs, they want ones without research portfolios is one of their main things. So we mainly send it out to smaller schools. And we have some connection to Puerto Rico and places like that where, you know, but we haven't, I don't know, that's, I guess, just where we recruit from, or we don't try to exclude anyone, but kind of where we spend a little extra attention would be the smaller schools, and then some with, you know, kind of good targeted spots. And it's good to see you, Ed.
Hi, good to see you, Jim. Yeah, at Auburn, we have, I think they have sponsored or funded by the state. This significant but it's not specifically for marine energy, mostly for engineering. So they have quite a big group here. And also Alabama Power sponsor, give the money for that. It's also, so state and Alabama Power. And so on the other hand, I try to recruit through independent studies or special projects, but the department doesn't want to sponsor me. I mean, if possible, I would like to bring them in to help out undergraduate research. But since I'm kind of new here, I do not have funding to pay the undergraduate students. But at any rate, that will be a good way to attract students, minority, female engineering students, undergraduate, and then bring them in. Hopefully they will go to graduate school as well.
Okay, so opportunity to pay for like apprenticeships, internships, scholarships, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like the summer camp idea too, by the way, whoever's that was, that's great. Okay. Cool. Any other thoughts there? There's 6 of these questions, so might have to go through a little bit quickly, but any other thoughts before we move on to the next one?
I wonder if, NREL can sponsor like a summer camp for graduate students. It doesn't have to be long, a summer, for a visit. You can invite, you can send the invitation to the professors, who is the smart guys or, smart students that deserve, this internship at NREL for a week, even just for a week, just to visit, that's kind of give them encouragement. Because there's so many things that to see at NREL, for example.
I think we're doing that right now at PNNL. We have some, our division is onboarding internship positions for the summer that are targeted specifically for underrepresented communities. And so we will have a couple students coming in for the summer.
So is that close already, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're chosen already.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I know one thing that NREL had that I know two of our two students, one went through the RU and one that was just an FAU student, was the summer undergraduate laboratory SULI. I forget what the SULI internship. Yeah, that would be the AI. And really enjoyed that at NREL. So that was I don't know, something that I don't know how many of those opportunities are out there, but I mean, that was a great opportunity for she went there.
Yeah. I think Linda Lang is still in charge, right?
I think she just retired. Is it her? Maybe. Thought I saw something on it, but I got confused, Ed. But yeah, the SULI program is great, and there also is the GEM program. I don't know if PNNL participates in that too, but it's essentially like a SULI-like program that's focused on minority students, and we've gotten some really great participation in that program over the years too. Okay, well, that's all great. Thank you for that feedback. So if we move on to the second slide, this is just in general, how do we increase student interest in marine energy? So I feel like there's a nice mix here between, like what, the academics here and lab. What do you see as like the biggest things that we should be doing if we were to focus on, just getting interest in this field?
Yeah, I think, in Germany, for example, industry is obligated to provide sort of like a opening for students to get internship. I do not know whether we can do this here, in the US, but I know in Germany, it's sort of like part of the budget. Every year they have to allocate a budget for internship for the students. I think that will help, to attract students. So because, internship is not only about learning process, it's something that you can network as well inside the company. Then eventually, who knows, if they are good enough, then they will end up being hired by the company. And also it will be very good, even, within 4 years undergraduate, if you just one time go to industry, learning about marine energy, for example, then they can put it in their resume, right? And that sort of like help them finding a job in this field. So I think that should help. Now, a cheaper way to do this is probably, if there is a scientist or engineer, say, let's say at the national lab, they created a short course and they personally invite good students, from universities that, this is like a free workshop, if you have to pay, it costs like 3,500, but for you, it will be for free. And you're obligated to, attend, say, like 5 days. And then you, at the end of the 5 days, you get a certificate, signed by the engineers with NREL logo or DOE logo. That probably, even though it's for us, it's like a piece of paper. For them, it's something that they can brag about,
Sure. Yeah, they add that to their resume. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for us with the REU program, we always seem to get between about 100 and 250 applicants for 10 spots. So the interest seems to be there. But as far as I've struggled a little bit with, once the students are interested, what the pathway is into an actual job, because that seems to be growing. And that's kind of the link that I've talked. There's some possible ways, where some of the graduate opportunities are at some of the universities. You can, we got some at FAU, North Carolina. There's Northwest Lab, Hawaii. There's plenty of there's some places for graduate school, but kind of, I would like. And this is I need to do some work myself to get a clear pathway for, if you wanted to stay in this, what path would you take to transition? Because I see a ton of students who are interested, and then just how you would end up with a job with the fact that, there aren't a whole lot of like major companies who are hiring 20, 30, there isn't if you want to go into aerospace, you can get an opportunity with Boeing or NASA or something. There isn't like some big players who are constantly hiring lots of people. So to me, that seems the challenge more than getting the interest. But I haven't viewed it from the other end as a company looking to hire.
Yeah, I wonder if, DOE or NREL can sort of like approach GM, GE, big corporations that, GE is very big in, say, wind power. But on the other hand, there's a potential for marine energy for them. It could be a big business. So while they do not have the business right now in marine energy, potentially they can hire students to work in wind power. And a lot of similarity between wind power and water power, at least from the perspective of electrical engineering program. They use electric machine, they use power electronics, they have to integrate to the grid. There's energy storage in there. So the nature of knowledge more or less is the same. So I think having that channel or pipelines and working with, the big guys, GE, Siemens, ABB, that will help. That eventually, when it's time that marine energy is mature, there's a big market out there. They already have something inside.
Yeah, Ed, so do you see that more in just like an open line of communication between, the national labs, DOE, and these larger companies, and just trying to like essentially you know, make them aware of this industry? Or do you see it as like, I guess, like I was just thinking in regards to like maybe the Marine Energy Collegiate Competition, like trying to get sponsorship and like really working with them to sponsor interns or that sort of thing. Like, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, even, you know, sponsorship, it doesn't have to be big, you know, right? I mean, even if in your ad, right, you put the logo of GE, Siemens, ABB, you know, the student look at it, wow, there's a lot of potential here, right? I mean, the knowledge that you learn from these competitions will be applicable for many different kind of renewable energy, you know, industry. And you know, even between PV, in PV, there is no rotating machines, but still power electronics, control, storage, grid integration is still there. You know, it's not a waste of time, you know, joining this competition, for example, you know. So
Yeah, that's great. And Jim, I wanted to go back to what you were saying about the career pathways. How do you see, like, do you see the us making, or you know, working towards making it more clear to students what the career pathways are in terms of really just having those linkages, like Ed was talking about, with the bigger corporations, trying to get students face to face with industry? Or are you thinking more like of a matrix, like are you thinking like you would like to see like a career map or matrix? What do you think would be most useful, or maybe all of it? I don't know.
I mean, I think that something like that might be nice. And sorry, you were cutting out a little bit, but I think I got the question. It could be my internet. But I mean, something like that would probably be good. Or even if there was some sort of listing where if NREL was looking for internships, or say ORPC wanted a couple internships, or anywhere where the students could look and say, okay, you know, I did something in marine renewable energy last summer. Now let me try to, you know, take a 10-week internship with ORPC or with NREL or stuff like sorry, I got a 3-year-old here. Kyle, hang on. So I mean, if they're just something to point them to the next step, because if they could start building those connections, that would be really helpful. I mean, I've had a couple, I mean, that went to NREL, one went to IHI in Japan, one went to Aquantis for a little bit, but that's a small minority of the people that I've worked with who were kind of interested in the topic. So just, you know, if there was anything like that. And I mean, one thing that NSF has done was just kind of like they've kind of sponsored like industry internships. I don't know if there would be any way to somehow get the people who are kind of actively involved with, you know, funded DOE projects, you know, if they wanted 2 or 3 internships and then they got posted on the DOE website or the NREL website, and interested students could, you know, spend a summer on that project. I mean, I haven't thought about the logistics in detail, but I mean, if somebody wanted to work for Verdant or RPC and they could take on 2 or 3 interns, you know, that would be that sort of thing, or to go to NREL for the summer, which I know you, or I believe you do.
no, another thing here, you know, there's a lot of mailing lists with a large number of you know, addresses. It's worldwide even, right? For example, Power Globe, you know, this is electrical power system mailing list, a lot of members. Now, you know, I can help, for example, you know, if you send me an advertisement that with the wording, everything there, and I can forward it to this mailing list, that will sort of spark the interest. You know, a lot of them are power faculty, electrical power faculty, you know, professors, and when they read it, you know, they, like me, you know, I will print it out to PDF and I'll post it in my, you know, Canvas or Blackboard, you know, that's in the internet, so my students can read it. Oh, okay, there's a lot of jobs out there, feasibility, there's another website, for example, it's called US faculty, and I forgot, at any rate, US power faculty that, consists of all the professors in the US, and we can post it, that advertisement there as well. So those are just a free advertisement, and hopefully there might be professors who will post it in their, make it like in the canvas or electronic board, for their students. So that's like no cost, right? And if there are students, if there are 100 applicants, let the company select, whoever students they want to choose, right? So that's one way to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Anything else before we move on to the next slide? I was starting to think it would be fun, and I don't know if this would be anything that's possible at all on the DOE side of things, but as you were talking about the NSF internships, and what if there was like a requirement in DOE FOAs for any industry that wins a FOA to have an intern, a student intern, or something like that.
That would be great, actually. That would be great. Yeah. So another thing that I try to do is invite people, from industry. It could be from national lab as well. Give one lecture and specific topic related to, let's say, marine energy, and I know that Linda Lang, she has PowerPoint presentations, and I normally give it to my students, at the beginning of the class. This is opportunity to do SULIP or whatever internship at NREL, at least, representing, but you can also apply for another national lab. There's a website there, there's pictures, photographs, I do not know if she still have it, or we can even invite, her, to give like 50 minutes lectures about potential that have an internship in the national lab. So this is the kind of thing that, NREL or DOE can approach, professors at different universities that can pass the information along to the students.
All right, so I think for the sake of time, we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so what do educators want or need but don't have resources to do themselves? And Ed, I feel like you, and maybe Jim too, are kind of rare examples where like I've seen your actual curriculum that you've sent to us that incorporates marine energy. So I feel like, and Jim, I don't know if you have that too, but basically like something that I've heard in the marine energy collegiate competition over the years is there's definitely a huge need for kind of just stock curriculum that any professor could pick up, and maybe like a teach the teacher training, where you could bring the professors in for a few days, have a summer camp and teach them about marine energy. So those are some of the things that like I've thought about in this area. Would really be interested to hear what you guys think and have to say too.
If you have a list of say lecturers, right? This person will, for example, Nathan Tom, right? He can talk about, certain things on marine energy, and so if you have a list of that names, and you can send it to professors, and this person's available to give a 1 hour lecture, provided that you probably should give a task number or something, at NREL, and that will help both sides, because they are very happy to have someone from outside, so that have a real color of industry research, the real things, not textbook, right? Most of professors knows stuff from textbook, and people would like to see someone that really do research in this field. Yeah.
That's great. I like that idea.
Yeah, do people at NREL or DOE do that from time to time? Just give guest lectures? I mean, I guess now people are much more used to using Zoom than a year or two ago, where
Yeah.
it seems like almost a normal thing because that's kind of how, I had to teach for 2 semesters anyway. But are there people who are kind of willing, able to kind of do that from time to time, or do you just have to have a connection? Or I mean, I don't think NREL needs to spend all their time teaching everybody else's lectures for them, but I just wasn't sure if there was, that was available sometimes.
Jim, I find out that a lot of national lab, every year they have to sort of write what you have done, for this year, fiscal year 2020. Then, if they can list something like, given lectures at, FIU or, at Auburn University, that's a good thing for them, right? It's brownie points kind of thing. So I found that most of them are willing to do it. And
Yeah,
even, yeah.
Go.
Yeah, even if they cannot do it but themselves, they will give, let's say, PowerPoint presentations. I don't have time to do it, but here's the PowerPoint presentations that the topic that you would like to share with your students. Normally, they are very generous. It doesn't have to be from NREL. It doesn't have to be from US. It could be someone from, say, Denmark or, other countries. I think they will be happy to share.
Yeah, and just to add to what Ed said is I think people are generally happy to do it, and it's just being done on like an ad hoc base right now, like whether, if we're having Nathan Tom as an example here, it's like his advisor at Berkeley might reach out to him and say, hey, do you want to speak to my class now? And that's kind of what's being done. But I think, like Ed, what you might be suggesting here is to formalize that a little bit more and to like, provide, a list of these lab researchers and what their expertise is, provide a charge number so that they can, account for their hours and not have to do it on nights and weekends.
Right,
and then, in this new world too, like it's something that if, Nathan does it for the first time, maybe we could record it, put it on the STEM portal. And if he's not available, it's something that could just, be alive on there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to travel anyway.
Yeah,
right?
I think that I think that would be nice. And I mean, one thing is, for our RU, we had a few different companies talk last summer, and one of the most enjoyable parts seemed to be 20 minutes, just leaving it available for questions and answers, because the students kind of feel like, hey, this somebody is doing it. You get to kind of ask some questions, get at least a little bit of a relationship, and just it's kind of I think that's some of the part that I liked, was just kind of getting a little bit of getting to know them a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, normally the professor will provide, this is homework problem from this presentation by this expert from PNNL or from NREL. I provided questions that just 2 questions, and most of them will write questions and send sort of like from the homework. I can see that a lot of them interested, how easy is it to find a job at, NREL or TVA or, PNNL. So there are a lot of interest from them. And so I think we need to sort of like burden the student also. You have to listen to this presentation because there will be homework about these presentations, and you got to listen to them, and you have to ask questions to him. 2 questions, that should be enough, And then I normally collect the questions in the spreadsheet, and I ask, Michael Ingram, for example, for give the answer to this spreadsheet, and I try to fill up the answer myself, wherever I can. and they're happy to do that. And I posted in Canvas, here are the questions. I removed the name of the students so they didn't get embarrassed if they asked stupid questions, so, but it's a good interaction, actually. Students like it.
I have a question for you both. If and Ed, I know you were more than happy to share some of the curriculum materials that you pulled together, but is that the norm for professors? Are professors generally willing to share curriculum that they've developed?
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm not going to publish a book or anything, and that's this is a good way to spread the news, and they might share it with somebody else. And I have a lot of online students, they probably read my lecture notes as well before taking my lectures. So I do not mind, because that's like advertisement for my class, and I do not give it, the entire lecture, but only the topic they ask. Hydropower, okay, I give lecture 12 to 15, and anything about marine hydrokinetics, I give another set of lectures and send it to them, and they're happy to do that.
People coming back in, Bree?
Yes. We're just crashing your small group here.
Are we
here?
Yeah. Well,
Are we here?
Well, thank you, group number 5.
Oh, are we all zooming into somebody else's group? Is that what happened?
We're all coming together.
Look at that.
We're all back in the main room, Sean.
Oh, I want a tour of Edward's lab.
Oh yeah.
That is a wind tunnel. We have a good sets of wind tunnels, and there's a bigger one, so we plan to test, oscillating water column, very high speed to 50 meter per second. So that's a good picture.
Very cool.
So what did we find out? Does everybody have all the answers to change the world?
Yeah. How do we want to do this, Bree? Should we do we go one at a time?
Yeah, we voluntold Matt that he would provide a just talk about, kind of highlight a few areas that he took away from our talk. And so if there's one person from each group that wants to provide that, just a high level overview, I would love to hear it.
Well, if we're going to start with group 1, I think Becky, did you volunteered me for this, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
So I'm going to refer to our stickies, because Becky was really good at encouraging us to use our sticky notes here. So, so the first question we addressed was, what is missing from the portal to ensure it's helpful? Is this a good way for educators to get the resources they need? If not, what would be? Would they use games, videos, hands-on kits, etc.? So the general consensus for this is that, yeah, educators are going to be looking for multimedia. They're going to be looking for ways in which they can engage their kids, take them sort of the next step further. We all agreed that the more that we can make the resources both easy to use and a way to basically help them address their curricular needs, the better. So obvious ways in which it aligns to their standards and their curricular frameworks, but without making it so like pedantic that it seems boring. Like this has to be, it's going to be sort of an academic enrichment piece to what they need to teach. So the more it's sort of interesting, engaging, and it layers on to something that they need to teach anyway, such as climate change or anything that involves like the engineering design process is really big within NGSS. Like sometimes that's a challenge for educators. So if you can solve their problems with this, it's going to be much better than just hoping that they'll come to this and decide they want to dig in and use it. So games, videos, kits, yes, definitely. Exciting, interesting multimedia, yes, but then it also has to just meet their curricular needs, and we need to kind of walk them through how it does that in a way that isn't overwhelming. Do we want to just do one question at a time, or should I just blast through all of them?
If you have a high level overview of all of the questions, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think we kind of addressed that. So visual resources, alignment to curriculum, easy to implement. Looking at the web, I don't know if this is possible. We talked about looking at the website design as something like, how do you make a more maybe compelling and attractive design with like a visual carousel. We also talked about the importance of diverse career role models, and we know there are some videos that address that and do it very well, but how do we make those pieces a little bit more obvious? So what educators want or need but don't have the resources to do themselves. I think that's it. It's the exciting, it's the real life, it's the cutting edge, but then tying it back to the things that we know kids are interested in. So they're always trying to build on their interests, and certainly making the world a better place, addressing climate change, renewable energy. All of those are really great hooks with a lot of opportunity. It's just a matter of how do you make the material so it's easy and accessible and attractive to the educator as well as the students. Does anyone else in the group, Becky or anyone else in the group, want to add to that?
I think you covered it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does another group want to jump out?
I can share about some of the themes really quickly from our group, kind of at a higher level. Some things that came up consistently were literally for every single question. The topic of internships came up, which I think is interesting. People relate that to every question, whether it's like a need for the portal, whether it is a way for students to get engaged with topic matters that are very cutting edge. I was just, saying that, in the sort of virtual island, there were so many resources that are so new that the only way to gain exposure to those is through maybe externships, internships, exposure to research, things like that. Also exposures to professionals, as was mentioned just now, was also a huge topic that came up in each area. Another thing, identifying trends and the barriers that maybe your students have to accessing particular topics. One thing that was brought up were barriers that girls face in learning mathematics, whether that be through traditional stereotypes and things like that, and using scale and magnitude to sort of build up from sort of a hands-on world in the classroom to actually building that up and looking at it at a large scale and how that's actually replicable, or excuse me, how that's applicable to science content in the real world. So for example, connecting data from hands-on tools like circuits to looking at the entire grid and make those mathematical comparisons there to help students feel like they have to help build confidence in students in looking at what's some pretty complex content. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is localization wherever possible. And of course, looking at marine technologies, this is not possible everywhere, not possible for most states in this country. However, you can utilize resources that are at your disposal to make connections if possible, and utilize whatever virtual assets that you have, whether it be something like the virtual island or other examples of technologies that are virtual. Yeah, that was it.
Okay, I'll jump in for my group right now because Parker did mention internships, which we did talk quite a bit about as well in my group. And what the question that we were addressing in that aspect, well, there was a few, but it was how to encourage students in underrepresented communities. And a lot of that discussion was around providing either scholarships, internships, providing, summer camps, and working with professors through our network, and figuring out, which students they would like to see join a summer camp, and really working with different organizations and societies to try to engage underrepresented communities who might be interested in these internships. So that was definitely a theme in ours too. And then I also wanted to touch upon, we talked quite a bit about really just the need for having a sense of what the career path is in marine energy. And, in our group, we had 2 university professors. And so in some of the comments were, it's just, you can educate them, they could be part of a program, but then they do an internship with this one small marine energy company, and then there's no real clear pathway for what's next. And so whether that's, creating sort of a career matrix to show the different opportunities, or we discuss the possibilities of maybe engaging with some of the larger corporations that are involved in other types of renewables and having them sponsor various programs, whether it's the Marine Energy Collegiate Competition, or really just having them be a little bit more engaged in the work that we're doing. So we could have people have careers in these other tangential, renewable energy industries, but then when there are more jobs in marine energy, that they could move back to us. And I'm gonna go on mute because I got barking dogs in the background, but I think that was the high level from our group.
Sorry, I'll jump in for group 3 here. One of the things that Bree brought up, how they've toured hydro facilities in the past, and that's really sparked a lot of interest in students. Well, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of marine energy facilities yet, but we do have some, and there's actually some that are quite visible, i.e. the Verdant project in New York specifically right now. But then also, this regionality, the localization of marine energy. Not everyone lives near a coast, but most people live near a river. Some people live near a Great Lake. And then if you look at the network of test facilities that the Teamer network involves, there's a lot of tank testing, lab and bench testing going on all around the country, with pretty good access to most regions of the country, and not too far probably from most places if you really wanted to take that. The Teamer program is providing a whole lot of opportunity for testing. There's going to be a ton of tank tests going on over the next few years because of that. So really finding ways to integrate and collaborate between the programs could be really useful and be interesting to students as well. As far as getting curricula and getting teachers to include marine energy curricula, we talked about collaborating with different associations and organizations such as the Technology Student Association, and then trying to work with local school districts to get involved in the Teach the Teacher program, I believe. And anyone from my group is welcome to talk more about that as well, if you'd like. But really just, is there any high school science teachers on this call today? I think that's something that could be really interesting to explore. And then money always comes up, stipends, opportunities to get people to events there as well. And then on the first question that we asked, we did talk a lot about Minecraft and kind of like a Sim City type game that would help enable interest. I think the simulation that Ariel showed earlier with the island is really cool, and if that could be built into some type of game platform, that'd be really neat. Let's see here. We also talked about to get use out of the portal, potentially creating some type of digital badges. Like if you explore all these different parts of the portal, it could, you sign on, you have a login, and it shows all the areas you've been and things like that. That could be some enticement for people to use the portal a little bit more. I think I'll stop there. Anyone else want to go ahead?
That was great, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the digital badge idea. That's awesome.
It wasn't my idea.
It's great. Maddie, did you want to present on team group 3 or group 4? Do you want me to, or others?
I'll let you take that, Elise.
Okay. Well, you were the former teacher, so actually you were very well positioned to share your your ideas here. So thank you for that perspective. We had just a few, I mean, a lot of what we just heard has been covered. So I'm just going to share only unique things. There was a theme here to really get messaging to higher levels in academic organizations, as well as, through reaching out to community leaders as well. So the idea is that we can spread the word of marine energy and the opportunities around marine energy at high levels and let those messages trickle down from people that they trust already. So there was a theme to kind of get more of the opportunities and the adjacencies, those communicated through those at high levels. There was a suggestion to have some more seminars and workshops to gain some more marine energy experience and really share what it's all about, that it's not just about engineering, and it involves lots of different categories. We talked about a little bit about the sharing of curricula across multiple organizations. Money came up as well. I know that came up, but really going out to the underrepresented communities and talking about what real job opportunities are available, and then putting some support behind it, school fees, books, other, really clarifying career pathways at the high school level, at the community college level, and going to those that need to hear these things, the guidance counselors, the career counselors, et cetera. Let me see here. Broach the topics through the lens of what's interesting. This is kind of along the lines of the Minecraft and SimCity. Have them compete wherever possible, or talk to them through the subjects that they really care about now, and learn about what those are, and then access their interest through those lenses. And then continue to things for like the Marine Energy Collegiate Competition, continue to provide the seed funding so that they can inspire matching funds. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
All right, so I think that was all the groups, right? Did everybody get a chance? Yeah. Bree, you're on mute if you're talking.
Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. I'm sorry.
Maybe I just wanted to highlight.
Oh, go ahead.
No, maybe I just wanted to highlight again the point of maybe the digital badge. You could also make it a little bit bigger beyond just visiting the website. Is a certificate of attendance or certificate of completion of some of the content on the website. And if it's like a certificate from NREL or a reputable organization, then that would be an incentive for students or teachers to actually delve into it, because they can use it for their CV or for their career.
Yeah, thanks for that, Peter. We talked about that in our group as well, how meaningful that is to students to be able to use as promotions for themselves on their CV, as you mentioned. So yeah, appreciate that. Okay.
Well, I was just going to say the next slide is into just to wrap up the workshop and to talk about the upcoming dialogue that's next. The next workshop is going to be July 27th, and that is going to be on the workforce assessment and job and economic analysis for hydropower. So we're back to the hydropower side of things. But we're really going to talk about the ideas that we have around competency mapping for STEM skills that can be then applied to hydropower professions. We're going to share our day in the life professional profiles so that you all can see how we're working towards letting young people see how these can be, how they can see themselves in the industry. Sorry, I got distracted by the call I thought it was my phone. Anyhow, so that's the next workshop. That'll be July 27th. And then following that, August 12th is a workshop on the Hydropower Collegiate Competition that we touched on earlier. It's going to mimic the Marine Energy Collegiate Competition, but we really want to talk about whether there's a lot of college level student interest around that, and some methods that we can use in order to build excitement around the technology. and share some of the information that we've gotten from both students and professors and whatnot through some of the surveying that we've done. So hope you guys can tune in to our next couple of workshops. And I put the link in the chat so that you can check those out and you can also register for them. So is there anything else? Oh, the other thing I put in the chat is just I know that the conversation goes and you have ideas with these Jamboards. You all still have access to them. So feel free to peruse them on your own and continue to put in your sticky notes. Peter, I know how much you love the sticky notes, so feel free to continue to do that. So it doesn't have to end just because the workshop's over. So we appreciate all of you being here. Ariel, did you have anything else?
No, I was going to say if we stop now, we'll be exactly on time. So I really want to thank everybody for joining today and all the input. It was really great. Thank you.
And I will send out the slides with everyone's contact information as well. So that way you can reach out should you have any questions. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great evening.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.